Good morning to all. Today is the second revision class for how to write a short notes in your exams. Today's topic is on natal teeth, neonatal teeth, terminal plane relationships, and ugly duckling stage. Coming to natal and neonatal teeth. These are termed also as premature or pre-deciduous teeth. They erupt mostly prior to 3 months of age of the child. Notice natal teeth will be present always at the birth. At the time of the birth, you can find the teeth inside the oral cavity. Mostly it will be the lower incisor, and sometimes it may be also maxillary incisors. Mostly it will be two teeth or it will be single. Neonatal teeth, it erupt within 30 days of your life. After birth, within a week or 2 weeks after, you can find a tooth erupting from the gum pads. These teeth occurs in past mostly. It is mostly found in the lower anterior region. The ratio of natal and neonatal teeth is 3 is to 1. Mostly the natal teeth will be, if the ratio is 3, and the neonatal teeth is less common as 1. The incidence of this is 1 in 2000 patient or 1 in 1000, 3500 patients. 90% of these teeth are true primary teeth other than supernumerary teeth. Supernumerary teeth you can found mostly in the central incisors region in the growing period. You can find a conical teeth in the midline areas. The etiology of this natal and neonatal teeth is unknown, and also it is most poorly formed teeth. You can shake the teeth, and mostly the tooth will be mostly mobile tooth, and you don't need to check for whether the root is present or not. Mostly before extraction, you better take a radiograph of the tooth region. It is one of the condition mostly found in because of presence of the natal and neonatal teeth, that is Riga-Fidi disease. This is nothing but your teeth will impinge the tissues, either your tongue or your gum pads, which leads to trauma and which will affect the feeding of the child. Because due to this trauma to the tissues, it may be an injury, and during feeding, the child will feel the pain. Mostly the neonatal or natal teeth will be seen in chondroectodermal dysplasia patients. And if you find a natal or neonatal teeth, it may be misdiagnosed as dental lamina cyst, Bonn's nodules, or Epstein pulse. Mostly better to take a radiograph to confirm the diagnosis. And this is the management of the natal or neonatal teeth. First of all, the radiograph is important, and then if needed, the tooth is sharp or impinging the tissues, or it will face, the child is facing any difficulty in the feeding habit, so it is better to extract the tooth. If the teeth is mobile, you take the radiograph and confirm that whether the root portion of the tooth is present, or else whether it is a primary tooth or a natal tooth. Because if it is a primary tooth, better to reshape the tooth without impinging the tissues, because we have to save the primary tooth till the age of the 6 or 7, that is the eruption age of your permanent incisors. In the case of deciduous tooth, it is advised to save the tooth by advising the breastfeeding habit with the breast pump or bottle change the child to the bottle feeding habit. If extraction is decided, it should be delayed until the 10th day of postpartum. You have to follow the blood report to avoid the hemorrhage because there may be deficiency of vitamin K in the newborn child, which may lead to severe blood loss after extraction of the natal teeth. If the extraction is mandatory, you have to go for vitamin K supplements before the extraction procedure. Coming to the terminal plane relationship of the primary molars. It is nothing but the relationship of the distal surface of the maxillary and the mandibular second primary molar is one of the most important factors that influence the future occlusion of the permanent dentition. There are mainly three terminal planes established. Flush terminal plane, the second one is mesial step terminal plane, the third one is distal step terminal plane. And this one is the flush terminal plane. The distal surface of the maxillary second molar and the distal surface of the mandibular second primary molar will be on the same plane. You can see in this picture. This is flush terminal plane. The flush terminal plane will mostly leads to the class 1 molar occlusion in the permanent dentition. Sometimes it may leads to class 2. This is mesial step terminal plane relationship. That is, the distal surface of the mandibular molar is placed more mesially to that of the distal surface of the maxillary molar. Okay, you can see in this picture the step will be in the mesial side. And the mesial step terminal plane mostly leads to class 1 permanent dentition. This is the distal step terminal plane relationship. The distal surface of the mandibular second primary molar is placed more distally to that of the distal surface of the maxillary second primary molar. You can see a distal step over here, and mostly the distal step terminal plane leads to class 2 molar relationship in permanent dentition. This is the different prevalence rate of terminal plane relationships. If we check bilaterally, the flush terminal plane is mostly in 37% and the mesial step is in 49% and the distal step is in 14% of the children. If we check unilaterally, the flush terminal plane is in 9.1% and the mesial step is in 8.1% and there is no distal step. And this is what I told you earlier. Mesial step routinely leads to a class 1 molar relationship in permanent molars, whereas distal step routinely leads to class 2 molar relationship in permanent molars. The straight terminal plane, that is your flush terminal plane, leads to class 1 or class 2 in permanent molars. And this is the ugly duckling stage, which is one of your self-correcting anomalies. Note it down. The mostly you can see the ugly duckling stage in the patients who are in 8 to 9 years of age. This was otherwise named as Broadbent phenomenon because this stage was coined by Broadbent. It is also called as transient or self-correcting malocclusion. The erupting canines mostly will displace the roots of the lateral incisors. This results in the transmitting the forces of canine to the lateral. Then the lateral will transmit the force mesory to the central incisors. This results in the distal flaring of the centrals and laterals with the midline diastema. Mostly, the patients will come to you to the clinic or your hospitals with the complaint of the midline diastema at the age of 9. For this, there is no treatment, and there is no treatment also required because it is one of the self-correcting anomalies. You don't need to give any appliances. This is the picture where your canine is erupting, followed by your canine is pushing the lateral incisors laterally, followed by your lateral incisors roots are pushing the central incisors to flare up the central incisors and making a midline diastema. And then after the eruption of the canine completely, the midline diastema closed by itself. By the age of 10 to 11, the midline diastema will closes by itself. This you can explain to the parents or the patients with the help of your OPG. You can tell the patients to take an OPG and come. Like this, you can explain to the patients because of this permanent canine forces, there is a formation of midline diastema. It will automatically closes by the time after the complete eruption of permanent canine. This is the midline diastema. The yellow mark shows the presence of the primary canine. The patient is around 9 years. Still, there is no eruption of permanent canines. After the permanent canines, the central midline diastema will closes by itself. These are the 3 important questions. Please note it down and write a short notes and make the assignment to the department mail ID. These are most important questions. The ugly duckling stage, that is otherwise known as broadband phenomenon, and the important features of natal and neonatal teeth, and then your different flush terminal planes. It may be asked in your case history during the viva also. It is very important. Please note it down. Thank you.